I give the floor to the distinguished permanent representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Russian Federation attaches particular importance to the situation in Afghanistan and the UN General Assembly's adoption of the resolution, the text of which must be based on a thorough analysis, taking into account current realities and reflecting collective approaches of the international community to find ways to effectively and in the long term find a settlement in Afghanistan. At the same time, for the first time in the last few years, during agreement on the text, not just regional dynamics, but also a number of principled Russian concerns were ignored. And taking those into account would not have presented any difficulty. Given the lack of consensus, we will put the draft resolution to a vote because we cannot support it. In the document, there is a lot said about progress achieved to normalize the situation in the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. This is at the same time as the real picture in the country is different, which was confirmed in particular by the Security Council mission to Kabul. Over all of these years, we have seen a deterioration of the situation, and we will not hide that we have many questions about who is behind the current situation in Afghanistan. We have still not received an objective report about the specific outcomes of the 17-year presence of the International Coalition fighting against terrorism and narcotics trafficking. It is regrettable that during work on the text, the delegations either ignored the objective realities of the threat from ISIL, not just for security in Afghanistan, but also neighboring states, including Central Asia. And this is when the presence of ISIL fighters in the country is a harsh reality which cannot be downplayed or simply ignored. We are disappointed by the reluctance of a number of delegations to reflect the role and outcomes of the Moscow format of consultations, which is an important platform for launching focused negotiations to advance the national reconciliation process. At the same time, on the 9th of November in Moscow, there was an important meeting between representatives of Kabul and the Taliban. We see this as reluctance of many people to bring the launch of inter-Afghan dialogue into the practical dimension. We are convinced that our common task when agreeing on this sort of document concerning regional crises, which the conflict in Afghanistan is, should first and foremost be to avoid gaps between UN decisions and realities in the region. The reluctance to actually reflect the real picture will lead to a dead end, which will only not help the settlement, but will also undermine confidence in the General Assembly's decisions. Once again, we would like to ask the penholders, when agreeing on draft resolutions in future, to objectively take into account the principled concerns and comments of all delegations and not just individual countries. In conclusion, it must be underscored that the Russian Federation consistently and actively supports the desire of the Afghan people to achieve lasting peace in the country. Russia and Afghanistan are bound by time-tested, friendly relations that are in the national interests of our countries and which support stable, multifaceted development in the entire region and the world in general. We highly appreciate the heroism and courage of the armed forces of Afghanistan. We pay tribute to all of those who have died in the fight against the threat of terrorism. At the same time, stabilization in Afghanistan and resolving the problems that it faces will not be possible without a comprehensive approach from the international community, which needs to be worked up on coordination of the positions of all states in the interest of ensuring peace in Afghanistan. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished permanent representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.